Hey everyone, welcome to another video. I have Sunny with me, I have Pritish with me. We can talk a little bit about them, but I would like a lot if you can tell me about yourself, where are you from, what have you done, where did you study, where did you go to school, and what are you doing currently?
Yeah, of course. Nice to meet you. My name is Sunny and I'm from Vietnam. I grew up in Vietnam. I stayed there for 28 years. And then I pursued my MBA in the US in University of California.
Okay.
And then after that, I stayed here in the US and continue working for the company called Adobe. And right now, I'm a product manager working at Adobe.
Thank you so much for sharing that, Sunny, and for inviting us to the office. It is really an amazing place to be in, with just the brick cladding walls and how the facade is outside and completely different from the inside. Seems like a pretty good campus to be working in. So thank you for having us over. Let's stem back to the humble beginnings, right? When you first had the idea that you wanted to do a master's. Can you talk a bit about us on when this was and how it came by?
Yeah, I like the word you chose, the humble beginning. Yes, I did start with I came to a local school in Vietnam, and all I know at that point was, I go to school and then I get a job. I did that, and in Vietnam I was working in consumer goods.
Okay.
It's a product manager, and that was for 5 years. And later on, I figured that there's a lot of changes in the world, a lot of innovations really started or inspired by tech innovators, right? And so I wanted to be one of them, and that's why I wanted to make a career switch. And I know there's no better place to study tech innovation entrepreneurship like the US. So that's why I start thinking about what should be the next move, and the MBA opportunities really come to my mind, and I start preparing for that. After 2 years, I managed to got a scholarship in University of Berkeley, and so I say goodbye to my family like any other students, and move here and pursue my next career. And it was amazing journey, but it all started by a question of what should I do so that I can make a better impact, and I think being in tech really helped me to do that.
Right, yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, on that note, which you said that you took that decision and you left your family and came here, I want to know what were the major challenges you faced in that time. I understand it because I've gone through the same procedure. I know how difficult it is to leave your family, to leave everything there and move across the world. As you'll have faced probably this as well, that when we talk to people who are from the US, they feel wow, they feel surprised that, hey, you moved all the way across and you don't even have family here. So can you talk a little bit about what kind of challenges you faced, what was going on in your mind at that time?
So I was fortunate to be raised by my parents, who believed that you can make all decisions in your life and be responsible about that. So when I moved to the US, I know that there's a challenge, and all I want to know is how do I embrace those challenges. So the main challenge to me at that point was the cultural. I think as you know, Vietnam, and very similar to India, there's it's very different culture from the US. People here are more independent. And also infrastructure, everything is very modern. I think it's really important to be open up and adapt to the culture in US. Things like networking, things like study on your own, move, develop your career by your own. I used to rely a lot in Vietnam back then with my family network of friends. But moving here, you suddenly lose all your networks, and you kind of had to build all from beginning, from scratch. And so I think that it's the main challenge, being able to know new people and adapt with new and sometimes shocking, new culture, as well as just be independent. And I think that is like many other students, I'm not different in that end.
Yeah, it's a I can't even imagine, like, for the first couple of weeks you feel lonely and everything is so different here, and everything is like overwhelming. You have a big class which you have to compete with. I'm sure it would have been tough, but you learn a lot.
And to add into that one, I think you mentioned some people really suffer from homesickness or loneliness. I really didn't.
Good for you.
I think because I lived quite independently. I moved out of my family from since when I was 22.
Okay.
And so it's a good 6 years of me, living on my own way.
Right.
Then I moved here. I actually feel very, very, excited.
Right.
But challenges come all the way, I almost forgot to mention about academic challenge as well.
Right.
So in Vietnam, there's a tradition of you going to school, you go into class, the teacher tell you everything, you should take exam. So it's very passive way of learning. Here you have to be very active.
Right.
And a lot of students, a lot of friends around me, they are super active. They know that way of learning since day one. Versus me, I felt myself silent in the class for like a few months and couldn't really open up or add any meaningful comment. So it was really difficult for especially the first semester. But I think that with better preparation and a little bit of adaptation, and I think that all works out at the end of the day.
That is true.
Beautiful. So, just having worked in the MBA scene and the space for a couple of years, let's go back to the time that you did receive that admit, right? And Haas is a very prestigious institution to be in the US. So tell us a bit more about where were you when you received that admit? What were you feeling? Do you recollect that moment? Because I think that is the green light that you all have been waiting for, and when it just comes through via the email. So do you remember the day?
Yeah, I remember that it was May 15, 2016.
Okay.
I remember that day because that is the same day that I quit my job.
Oh, wow.
And for the record, I quit my job before I got the admission.
admit.
Really?
Yes.
Wow, risky.
Because I know that I wanted to take a break. I want to take a break. If I didn't go to the US to study, I wouldn't maybe start my own business in Vietnam. So I know that I want to get there. And by quitting my current company at that point, I make a determination to meet to my goal. And so it's really coincident that I just quit my job and then I got the admission. Very, very surprised to me.
Wow.
So I mean that moment, I think for some reason they didn't call me. And they sent me an email, and I was like not really believing my eyes.
Okay.
Maybe because of the time difference, they couldn't make a call. And by the way, it's like 14 hours different. So
Understood.
So I don't think that the any admission member can stay up until late night to call me. Anyway, I got that email from the school. I couldn't believe in my eyes. The scholarship hasn't arrived yet, so it's just an admission.
That
I
came in
know
later.
that I want to go already. So at that point, I already called my dad and say, Dad, I have an admission and I already quit my job. 2 shocking news on the same day. And Dad was just like, what?
Oh boy.
And the next day, it was just like I packed everything and I moved back to spend the next 2 months with my family, and that was the best.
Did he knew that you were applying to schools in the US?
He knew it, but I always tell him that it's really hard to get a scholarship here, to get here, and I know that I want to apply to top schools. Just a commitment for myself that I think because this is a one-time investment, so you do want to take the best out of it. And so I didn't know if I get admitted or not. So I heads up with my family that I'm applying, but nobody can expect that I could get any admission, even scholarship from top schools here.
Yeah.
So it's really, it's not really predictable.
How did that scholarship came through?
So
I'm curious.
So Berkeley, it has the scholarship submission is another round after you got admission. So after I know that I got admitted, I have to apply for another scholarships, and a ton of scholarships available from the school. So I chose something related to my background and my passion, which is entrepreneurship and innovation.
Okay.
And so I applied for that one. So it all worked out.
Okay.
So that is a very nice, things on top of
the admission itself from those schools. And
yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And was this a part of the Berkeley scholarships that were listed, that you chose one, or was it an external scholarship?
It's a Berkeley sponsored scholarship.
Okay.
Yes.
Wow. Okay. Very interesting.
Yeah.
So while you did chat about, getting this admission, do you remember when you got to the US? Could you tell us a bit more about the first 3 things you did when you got to the United States? It could be anything. What about the first 3 things? You get off a plane.
Oh my God! Yes.
What did you do?
I tell you, it's very funny. So my imagination, my perception about California is sunny, people lie on the beach all day long, and so I packed all my summer clothes here.
Okay.
And I don't know if you noticed, the summer here, is like really freezing to me.
Okay.
Yeah, true.
So I came here. The first thing is I went to Walgreens, I think.
Okay.
I bought a new blanket because
Okay.
I couldn't stand it. It's too cold.
Oh.
Yeah.
And then next I moved to a serious shopping. I moved to another store. I bought my new jacket
Okay.
and new shoes. So those are 3 things.
Okay.
Just because I can't survive with all my flip flop and short and skirt and those are I put it in a corner. It is. But again, I think it's funny because a lot of people, really planned for studying here, but they didn't have any, relatives or a lot of informations, and they probably apply to many different schools, and so I didn't really expect about that details, the weather and everything. And by the way, I think that was funny, but very, very painful thing I had to do is open my new bank account.
Bank account? Okay.
Yes, that thing. And having no address at that point, I was staying at somebody's home just to make sure that I can go out and search for a new permanent place. And so nobody trusts me to open a bank account. So it was painful a little bit.
Okay. Well, those are good tips for everyone that's making it to the US as we speak right now.
Be prepared.
Be prepared. Yeah.
Search for the weather.
And don't believe in anyone who sings California is sunny.
Yes, don't watch a lot of movies. Don't trust a movie.
Yeah.
I mean, we've been just ending the day, and I've gotten into a sweater, right? Yeah. So I didn't have a sweater on for the first half of the day, and I am feeling quite chilly right now.
Yeah.
But thank you.
Yeah. Let's talk about, so as soon as you graduated, you started working with Adobe, right? There are a lot of students who are going through the same process right now. They just moved in, they came in, and now they're worried about like, hey, we have to apply to the companies, we have to go to the career fairs.
Yeah.
What would be your tips for those students who are incoming, who are struggling with maybe the internships, maybe jobs?
Yeah, that is.
You took a breather there. Yeah.
I know.
That is a struggle. Yeah.
There were a lot of challenge. I would say, looking back, it sounds like, oh, you do that, successful. But it was a good 2 years of me struggling to find a job. If I had a good job, don't get me wrong. I think the challenge could be network. The challenge could be the job market here is very different, and you gotta collect information and to know, and the challenge could be, personally, I think I switched career. I switched from one to another industry. So technically I have zero knowledge or background in the industry that I want to land into. And so that 3 challenges come into mind at the same time. So for the network, for the network challenge, I think the best way to do it is really to leverage your alumni and your your classmates, your school resources. I am very lucky to be here in Berkeley in study here, because this is next to Silicon Valley. All the a lot of alumni are actually really working here, and my company, for example, also one of the top hires for HAS. And so I can reach out to them and I ask for information, and they are very, very open to share to me. So that is the number one. Take advantage of your school network. So speaking about job, job market, you really have to position yourself, and I think that is just a combination of a lot of effort going out, deliver your pitch. What is your background? What from your networking, and people who just try to understand what do they need from students, from MBA students.
Yep.
And so trying to position yourself so that you can convince, and you can make a good impression for the hiring managers. And so the third one, which is very challenging for me, was switching careers, switching industry, right? So how do I manage that? I think I got into Adobe was my full-time job. In the summer, I tried to work, well, not only in the summer, but during the year and the summer, I took every opportunity possible to build my experience in tech, which start from zero,
right.
And then I tried to build from one to another. So I would just offer myself to doing free consultation for startups, for tech startup.
Okay.
I work for a tech company in the summer, and all of that added to each other make me feel a little bit more and more confident, but
right.
also help me to build my story.
Yeah.
So that at the end of the day, I can make that switch.
Yeah, that sounds really interesting. That starting from zero first of all, and then building up summer internships and then tech consulting. That's just I think these are building blocks, and you're just building that for the final round of interview where there's okay, this looks good, let's stamp approval.
I think it's almost been a full circle the way you described it, from all the way to the start, and now it seems like an end till you get that job. You've been working at Adobe for almost over a year right now. Adobe as a company has products all across the ecosystem, right? Everyone probably uses it. I know Parth right now is using one on his iPad. And as a company in Prodigy Finance, we use a couple of products from Adobe as well. Tell us a bit, very casually, how does your day go by? When do you start? When do you end? If you can just walk us through your day.
So I'm working at Adobe as a product manager.
Yep.
So as a product manager, is really I have my product is my child. I have to take care of it, and my days really start by going through my priorities of the day and trying to prioritize which is the main thing I have to do, and the main meeting I want to attend and have to prepare for that. So really in the morning, trying to make sure that I have that list and start with the first and foremost important task first. My day went by very, very fast. A lot of meetings, as you can imagine, because as a product person, I have to collaborate with a lot of people, design, engineering, also the management, as well as the customers and the partners. And so there's a lot of conversations through email, to phone, face-to-face meetings. And I have a little bit slowing down in the afternoon, hopefully, if a good day. So that I can review and make proposal. I try to make everything. I try to schedule meeting from Monday to Thursday, and then Friday is to review my backlog.
Right.
This is a term we use for for technology product, but also for me to review what I've done in the week, also catch up with some new news in the market, some trends, train myself with some just new competitor product and so it's helped me to catch up with things going on, and especially staying inspired, because working in product is actually the thing that I really want to do, so I want to make sure that I take the best learning out of that.
Okay. Wow, I think you spoke a lot about day-to-day tasks, how you manage your day, the discipline, and I think even as someone that's working in business development, time prioritization is super important. So I've learned how to actually tackle, like you said, figure out what the products or what the projects are through the day, pick the most important one and start getting into those meetings. But as you can imagine, we also have our own backlogs, which we call different things in sales. But no, this is really good because I think this is something even I'm trying to adapt to. Which brings us to the last question, and it's kind of a cliche one, but if you could go back in time and tell yourself one thing before you got onto that plane to the United States, what would that one thing be?
That's a very good question. I think I would say to myself 3 years ago, once, and I think no matter what, just have that conviction in yourself. I haven't experienced so many failures before, when I was in Vietnam. Everything sounds very smooth. I got to good school, I got a good job, everything. When I moved here, I start to see failures from day 1, day 2. The 2 years, 3 years, my journey here are full of surprise and challenges and failures. And so being able to, stay committed to my goal and just have a very strong conviction about this is what I meant to do, that really helped me to overcome those bad days, failures, bad news. And honestly, I think I can share with a lot of good success stories around no success can be built, if there's no pain, right? So back to a very cliche, sentence you should say, no pain, no gain, right? So you gotta experience that, and so you can